Treasury Bills, a market was mixed despite the 50 billion OMO auction by the central bank. Yesterday, traders at Axis Bank say they expect the sentiment to be sustained in today's trade. Bosun Obembe, FX derivatives trader at Axis Bank, joins me for a weekly wrap of activities at the market. Thank you so much, Bosun, for joining us today. Let's get right to it. I'd like to hear, well, let's start with overall market performance today. Bring us up to speed.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me, Esther. This is a very short week, just 3 days. On Wednesday at the morning market, the day before we had the OMO majority over 20 billion. So, and the previous week that was fact payment, about 450 billion came into the system. So we have the liquidity still in the system. So currently the liquidity is over 500 billion, but we expect the CBN to actually mop up this excess liquidity through the CRR debit today. As a result of this significant liquidity in the system, so what we saw was the overnight and OBB were coming down from the double digit to single digit, so it closed at 4.75% yesterday. On the FS space, nothing really happening. CBN still continues to be the major supplier. We saw them intervening for the foreign portfolio investors, and they continue to maintain their intervention for the small and medium scale enterprise and for those that seek PTAs and the BT and medicals. Also, last week there was an intervention for the retail SMIs, so we expect them to actually release the results today. The spot rate at that market is at 450. However, the high end market rate is still at 419. A day-on-day depreciation of 1 naira. The NIFES remain at 417 levels. On the TB space, like you mentioned, the only difference we saw was the OMO auction. Throughout month of April, there was no OMO auction. However, this month we saw an OMO auction yesterday where 50 billion was sold by the CBN. The stop rate remained 7.5, 7%, 8.5, and 10.1 on the short to long end of the curve. About 50 billion was sold from the auction. This is a good indication that CBN will actually come to mop up liquidity through OMO auction, and this is an avenue for the investors to actually invest at a higher level, because the OMO rate at the auction is actually the rate is higher than what is obtainable at the NTB space. On the bond space, nothing really happened. Everybody just be on the market was calm because of the OMO auction of yesterday. So we expect the same sentiment to persist this week.
Okay, but you did say that you're expecting investors to bargain hunt for attractive offers today across the NTB space. Could you elaborate further? I mean, where would they find value? I mean, of course, there is a lot of liquidity at the market right now.
Yes, so what we've seen in recent time is a lot of interest on the OMO space. So we saw the subscription level yesterday was quite significant. That was why yesterday there was a mixed sentiment. On the NTB space, the 1 year at the secondary market is trading around 4%, and at the last auction, the 364 DB closed at 4.79. So what we've seen an increase in rate at each auction. So, and given that next week we have about 127 billion in NTB maturing, so we expect same sentiment to actually happen. Rate will go up at the next auction. So that's why you see most investors actually keen to maybe play at the short end, so that they don't lock in at the low rate that we have currently in the secondary market.